How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Elemental Warzone video. Today, I'm going to be showcasing all of the moves in all of the elements. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting us off, we have the Fire element. The 5 moves in the Fire element are Incendiary Rounds, Grand Fire Drill, Blaze Column, Imperial Wrath, and Hell's Core. Now, a lot of these moves from Elemental Battlegrounds and Elemental Warzone remain mostly the same with some slight changes. Incendiary Rounds, it's quite literally just you shoot out multiple small bullets and they leave out some fire, which if anyone touches, it deals burn damage. Grand Fire Drill, compared to Great Fire Blast from Elemental Battlegrounds, the ability to actually ride the blast has become like an actual mechanic with the move itself. So if you remember in Elemental Battlegrounds, I'll show some footage on that. If you timed it correctly, you could actually ride the blast. Whereas in this game, obviously you can shoot it just regularly. Wow, okay. Or you can double click in order to follow the Grand Fire Drill, as you can see. It doesn't send you as far, but it's cool that that's like an actual mechanic in the game. And it allows Grand Fire Drill to double as a nice transport move, rather than just a blast move as it is like regularly. Next up is Blaze Column, which acts basically exactly the same as Blaze Column in Elemental Battlegrounds, where you can place it anywhere. It's an AoE. It deals some stun damage. So this is good for like combo chaining. If you guys remember, one of the most common Fire, Water, Grass combos was Poison Needles, Water Beam, Blaze Column, because all 3 moves dealt stun, and they all, like, synergized super well with each other. So, yeah, you could perform a lot of the exact same in this game as well, where you have Poison Needles, Water Beam, and Blaze Column, but we'll get onto that later. Next move is Imperial Wrath, which works basically the exact same as Flame Body in... actually, no, there are a couple of differences. So, Flame Body in Elemental Battlegrounds, if you remember, basically increased the damage of, I believe, every move that you used, and also made it so whenever you got hit by any move, you would get a speed boost. However, in this game, it's been reworked, so it gives you 25% damage increase on fire moves, and a 5% increase on all other spells. So it does increase the damage of other spells, but not by nearly as much as it did in Elemental Battlegrounds. But if you use the move, you just get a flame aura around you for maybe about 20 to 25 seconds, and then there's like a 40-second cooldown on it. Right, and finally we have the ultimate, which in Elemental Warzone is basically the exact same as in Elemental Battlegrounds, except I would consider Hell's Core in Elemental Warzone to be a much more buffed version of the Hell's Core in Elemental Battlegrounds. In Elemental Battlegrounds, it essentially, if you were in range at the beginning, it would deal 400 damage, but the actual blast itself didn't do any damage. The only thing that did damage after that was the fire that was left behind after the blast disappeared. In this game, however, the actual like bubble that appears around the Hell's Core does damage to you, which in my opinion is a much better, and I think that that's how that should work in EB, but in EWZ you can like easily just use this in a concentrated area and get like 3 or 4 kills pretty consistently. But I'll show, and the animation is also cool for it. As you can see, every ultimate in the game has an animation now to it. You can actually change, or you can turn off the animation if you want to, if you don't like it, by hitting enable cutscene. So you can remove the cutscenes from ultimates if you want. Alright, moving on, we have water. So, water remains mostly the same in EWZ as it does in EB as well, with, again, some slight deviations here and there, but yeah, it's fundamentally the same. Water droplets works exactly like water droplets in EB. This move and Incendiary Rounds function basically exactly the same, except water droplets, I believe, do like slightly more damage to account for the fact that they don't leave like a burn trail behind them. I think, don't quote me on that. You know, if you like the burn effect, then use Incendiary Rounds. Otherwise, use water droplets, since they do, I think, just slightly more damage. Next up, we have Geyser Beam, which works like Water Beam from EB, where you can just hold it and place it down. What I like about Geyser Beam in this game, though, is that the Water Beam itself actually splits off into like multiple different little like splashes after it lands, so you can get some extra damage in after the like initial like 300 damage that the actual Water Beam does. I'm currently unable to test it on anyone specifically because I'm just recording this video on my own at the moment, but just trust me, bro. Anyway, next up we've got Whirlpool, which works a lot like Water Tornado from EB, except you can place this one anywhere, and it works a bit more horizontally, whereas in Elemental Battlegrounds, I'll put up some footage here, it only appeared on you, and it was like more of a vertical tornado, which actually like sucked people into like the middle of it. Now, it does suck people into the middle of the whirlpool in this game, but it's like the middle of this, like it's still on the floor, whereas in EB, it like sort of raised you up to like the very top of the tornado, which means you could pair it with like Spiky Shield, and that was like a pretty common combo. This is basically the main change for Whirlpool compared to Water Tornado in EB, is the fact that you can place it anywhere within a certain radius, rather than it just being solely around like your player character when you activate it. Next up, we have River Rush, which works exactly the same as Water Tumble in EB, where you cast it and you ride the River Rush. In EB, it was named Water Tumble, but they're basically the exact same move. Finally, we have Abyssal Dragons, which, how Abyssal Dragons works is it works a bit differently from Water Dragon in EB. In EB, you had to actually land the dragon on a specific player in order for the ultimate to activate. Otherwise, it would just sort of disappear and not really do anything. Whereas in EWZ, it works a bit like a Hell's Core, except you can place it like anywhere. When you activate it, you can like direct the smaller dragons, and then the big one that shows up actually, deals the main explosion. Now, the explosion for Abyssal Dragons is a bit smaller compared to Hell's Core, but it's very nice compared to Hell's Core because you can activate it, or you can like place it like anywhere that you can like send the dragons like quite far away from you. Now, it will take a while for the dragons to actually get from where you are to over there, so that gives people a lot more time to like get away from the explosion, but yeah. All right, next up we have Plant. So, Plant, not a whole lot of changes compared to the EB variant. For starters, we have Shooting Splinters, which is exactly the same as Poison Needles. You cast them, it sends a bunch of smaller needles, and it also stuns them and deals bleed damage. So yeah, that's essentially how Poison Needles in EB works as well. Not really much to say. You can hold it down so that it sends out more Poison Needles. So I highly recommend charging this one if you use it. But this is a pretty good combo starter, so that's nice. As I said before, you can use Shooting Splinters, Geyser Beam, Blaze Column as like a super common, super nice combo starter, because all of those moves deal stun damage. It works basically the same in this game as well. Next up, we have Spore Bomber, which you can increase the bomb's speed by charging the move, but it works exactly the same as Spore Bombs in EB, where you cast it, it sends out 3 smaller sort of blasts that deal low damage but heal you. So, yeah, you get that nice healing effect from Spore Bomber if you decide to use this move, which gives you some, like, extra edge compared to the other blast moves in Fire and Water. Otherwise, I don't really recommend this move, though, because in order to get, like, sufficient healing, like, over, like, maybe 200, you have to land all 3 of them, and that can be quite hard to do, especially if your opponent's constantly, like, moving around and stuff, so. Next up, we have Grappling Branch, which works exactly the same as Vine. You can transport yourself over like fairly long distances if you grab onto the floor or a wall, and if you grab onto a didn't work there because the hitbox is right at the end there, but if you grab onto a specific player, you can pull them towards you, which allows, again, for more combinations. You could use this along with Poison Needles, Water Beam, Blaze Column if you want to, since obviously those 3 moves would stun. the opposing player for a long period of time, and then you can use the grappling branch. Next up, we have Leaf Storm. Leaf Storm is pretty solid. It's quite hard to avoid, whereas in EB it's a lot easier because it actually has like some time before the actual Leaf Storm is sent out. But in this game, it's like basically just instant. Like the tornado doesn't form around you before it's sent in a direction. It just kind of like appears. And again, you can hold to increase its speed. So if you charge it up, you can make it go pretty quickly, which can make it quite hard to avoid in a lot of situations. I do recommend this move. I think it has quite a lot of combo potential. I might drop another video after this one that shows off some like basic combos using like more of the elements in the game, but we'll see. All right, and then finally we have Floral Animosity, good lord, which basically it is a lot different to Poison Bomb's Barrage in Elemental Battlegrounds, but you basically place the ultimate somewhere around you, and then once you activate it, it like sends out the venomous plant, and anyone that's caught in it will get like eaten, and it will deal maybe about like 400 to 600 damage, I would say. So it's quite underpowered ult compared to some of the other ones, especially in Fire and Water. But the main edge that this one has over other ultimates in different elements is the low recharge time. You can see that when after I used it, it had a 60-second cooldown, whereas other elements had like over 120-second cooldown. So it deals like less damage and it's a bit harder to hit, but you have a lower cooldown on it. So that sort of is what balances it out compared to other ults. And here's me using it on some other guy. You can see it like throws them around and then sends him off, and it deals some bleed damage as well. You can see that after all is said and done, it has dealt about 500 damage. But the 19 hits. So it does do bleed damage, and for me, even though I had 8 damage investment points, that still did like over 500 damage. So if you do land it, it does deal a pretty good amount of damage. Alright, next up we have Lightning. So there are a couple of changes in Lightning's moves compared to EB. So let's go over them. Lightning Strike has kind of remained the same fundamentally as I can't remember the move name, but I'll show it off on the video. But yeah, it basically you can direct its location, and once you place it, it then just sends it out and deals a pretty good amount of damage, and you can hold to increase its range, which I think is the same in EB as well. You can see that range is quite far if you charge it up fully. I don't know how far the range is total, so I'm just going to try it out. Just send it, like, over there. Yeah, okay, that's a pretty solid range. Next up, we have Charge Jump, which I believe is the only move in the game that actually does not do any damage to anyone. But it basically just directs you very quickly into, like, a short distance. And has quite a low recharge time. So this works like a slightly more balanced version of Spectral Teleport in Elemental Battlegrounds, and yeah, you just cast it, it acts instantly, and it sends you virtually like anywhere in any desired direction. So this move is like very good to get out of combos. I wouldn't really recommend this move in like any particular combo, but because it's more of like a mobility, like obviously it's mobility, but it's more of like just a supporting move in general to get out of combos rather than start them. So if that's the way you play, then yeah, this move is very much for you. Alright, next up we have Voltaic Dispersion, which is one of the AoEs in the game that only acts around yourself rather than being one that you can like place anywhere. So you can charge it up, and once I charge it up fully, the range around it is actually like pretty far. But obviously it takes like over a second or two to charge up fully, so that gives other players a lot more time to get out of the move itself. Just for comparison, I'll just click it and I won't charge it at all, and you can see that the range is a lot smaller. Now, generally, since this move has quite a high recharge time, or like just a high charge time in general, I would recommend using it in combos after the person that you've comboed has already been stunned for quite a long period of time. Because if they haven't been stunned, then it is quite easy for them to sort of run away and get out of this move and then punish you because, you know, Voltaic Dispersion prevents you from moving during the recharge time. So yeah, this move has quite a lot of cons, quite a lot of pros though at the same time. Next up we have Tempest. So this is probably one of the best moves in Lightning, if in my opinion. In EB, it worked a lot differently, whereas it just sent a beam of lightning in like any particular direction. But for Tempest in this game, you charge it up, it sends out multiple beams, and the more you charge it up, the more beams get sent out. But you can like direct them in any particular direction. As you can see, it follows my mouse cursor there. Now, obviously, the more beams, in order to get more beams, you have to charge up the move. If I were to just click it, it would just send out 3. Like, there's more delay between them. This move, I think, is very, very good. Although it doesn't stun, it definitely does do a lot of damage to someone if you manage to land all of the beams with your fully charged Tempest, which makes it really, really strong in, like, stun-related combos. Unfortunately, you can't pair it with Poison Needles, but you can pair it with Blaze Column and Water, or Water Tornado, or Geyser Beam. So you do have a couple of different options there in terms of how you use this move. It's also just generally a good move outside of combos. You can quite just like follow the, like if there's a person, you can just like have their mouse cursor follow them and you get at least like 2 or 3 hits down on them consistently, which does maybe like 200 to 250 damage. And then finally we have the ultimate. Now, the ultimate I believe is one that works a lot similar, like very similarly to Plant, where you have to actually have a person close by in order for it to work. But I'm just going to use it anyway, just to see if it does anything particular with no one around. And, it does do something cool. Now, I will showcase some footage of me performing this ult on someone else, but that's what it looks like when no one is around. But you can place it anywhere, so it works very similarly to Plant ult, and, you strike the area with a bunch of lightning, and it deals high damage and a stun to any particular player caught in it. Alright, next up we have Wind. So, Wind, I think I like Wind the most out of all elements in the game so far. I think there are quite a lot of very good moves in Wind. But regardless, let's showcase them. First one is Soaring Dive, which works a lot like Wind Ascend in EB, except it has the added effect of if you cast it again at the right time as you're going up, you can dive back down very quickly and deal medium damage. So if you use the move on its own, you can sort of just like get away quite quickly, but you also have the added effect of being able to dive back down like that. And if you get the timing correct, then you immediately go back down and deal medium damage to anyone caught in it, or anyone in its vicinity. Next up, we have Wind Shear, which this is by far one of my favorite moves. You can charge them up, and then you send out a bunch of cutting-edge shears, and they bleed as well. So anyone caught in it will get dealt bleeding damage. You can hold to deliver more projectiles as well. So it works a lot like other bullet moves in other elements, where you can charge it to get more of them. But for comparison, this is what happens when you just like use the move regularly. It sends out maybe 3 or 4, but if you charge them up fully, it sends more like 6 or 7. But yeah, this is definitely like a very, very good move in the game, especially since it goes through walls. As you can see, it goes through the stone there, whereas most projectiles just kind of get caught by the actual wall itself, which is yeah, it's definitely makes the move a lot better, in my opinion, compared to other bullet moves, but to each their own. Next up, we have Gust Punch. Gust Punch is quite an interesting move compared to other blast moves in the game. But what it does is it sends you forward and then pushes like a pressurized punch in any particular direction of your mouse cursor. And anyone caught in this will be dealt medium to high damage and will get knocked back quite far. The knockback on this move is pretty good, which means you can use it quite nicely in some like finishing combos. After the combo's done, you use it at the end of the combo to push them away. If you like have combos that involve like grappling branch, where you bring them towards you and then like you use a move and then you push them away, kind of thing. So like immediately you can see something like Vine Voltaic or Grappling Branch Voltaic Dispersion Gust Punch being a possible combo that could be used. I mean, you can experiment for sure, but I quite like this move. I think it's unique, and the knockback effect is pretty nice just in general. Next up, we have Zealous Zephyr. How this move works is it's kind of a bit weird, and it does take a little bit of time to sort of get used to the timing. In fact, I quite struggle with it as well myself. So I'm generally not someone who uses this move a lot. But basically you cast it, and like it sends you like slow. Like it starts off very slow, but then you click it again, and it sends you a lot further. And if you time it like correctly, where like you don't charge it that much, you just instantly like click the second time, you can go a lot further, and your cooldown on the move will be a lot less. If I do this correctly, you can see it sends me a lot farther, and the cooldown is actually still 20 seconds, so never mind, I'm just chatting shit. But yeah, if you just use the move normally, and by not clicking the second time, it drains your mana and kind of doesn't really send you anywhere. But if you don't click it at all, then it only has an 8-second cooldown. That's where the cooldown like lowering comes in. So if you click it again, it will send you a lot further, but then the move's cooldown will be a lot higher. So yeah, this move is like really, really good for mobility. You can see that I traveled like maybe halfway through the map. So this is definitely a very good move to get out of combos and like get from one place to another very, very quickly. It is a bit hard to control when you're actually like gliding around. But if you use it like in the air, like if you try like soaring dive plus it, then you can get very far quite quickly. As you can see. But you can see that also drained all of my mana. So this move is quite mana costing as well. But yeah, I mean, again, this is not really a move that I would use very often just because of how high its cooldown is and also how much mana it drains. But to each their own. Anyway, finally we have Typhoon Fury. This ult is very, very interesting. So this ult has two variations. But basically you imbue yourself with wind and you travel in any particular direction of your mouse cursor. It's a bit hard to control, but yeah. And if you grab onto someone, then you basically just like punch them and deal like 800 damage. Whereas if you don't catch anyone like when you're moving around, you just summon like a big ass tornado. So this ult is very different compared to the Elemental Battlegrounds version of it. Whereas in Elemental Battlegrounds, it just kind of summoned like a whirlpool, almost like a wind like whirlpool around you, and had like a huge recharge time. So there are quite a lot of differences, and the main difference is the fact that you have two variations of it depending on if you manage to hit a player or not. So I'll show you what it looks like to just summon the tornado like without hitting anyone. As you can see, that's what happens when you don't hit anyone. It just summons that big tornado, and anyone caught in that tornado will get dealt a pretty significant amount of damage. However, the main attraction is actually landing the Typhoon Fury on a particular person. So we have just a bot over here that I guess is just grinding levels. So this is actually like the perfect test subject here. But if I use it and then grab the bot in the actual Typhoon Fury, you can see it does this. So yeah, very, very cool move indeed. This move was used twice on me in the previous Elemental Warzone videos that I've put out of the test sessions. And I caught the co-owner of the game, I believe it's Mr. Sky, in it as well. So that was pretty cool. Next up, we have Earth. This is the first element in which its actual loadout in the types of moves has changed slightly. In Elemental Battlegrounds, Earth did not have a contact move. Instead, it had a bullet move, which I'll showcase now. But in this game, Bedrock Ambush is the first contact move in the game's elements list. And also, Earth has the first shield move in the game as well. So there are quite a lot of changes to the element itself. So let's go over it. So the first one, which is Insurgent Massive, works pretty much exactly like the Earth Spike move in Elemental Battlegrounds, where you charge it and it sends a bunch of spikes in any particular direction. So yeah, it works fundamentally exactly the same as the move in Elemental Battlegrounds, so not really much to go over there. You can hold to amplify the length and knockback. Oh yeah, it does deal knockback as well. That's the main difference. In Elemental Battlegrounds, it sent the person upwards and stunned them, whereas in this game, it deals quite a heavy amount of knockback. So in this game, Insurgent Massive doesn't have a whole lot of combo potential compared to the Spike move in Elemental Battlegrounds, but I digress. It's basically, besides that, it's still exactly the same move. Next up, we have the actual contact move itself. So I'm going to use this bot over here just to showcase the move itself. But you basically, it works a bit like Rock Fist, where basically, if you don't land it correctly, then it's not actually going to do anything. But if you like land it close by to someone, it's still going to do maybe about like 150 to 200 damage. But if you actually land it directly on the bot, then it grabs them and like punctures them with this little like angled spike, which does a pretty decent amount of damage. Next up, we have Stonewall Shove. Now, this is personally one of my favorite moves in Earth, because of how like versatile the shield move actually is. But when you cast it, it works a bit like a shield that you can point in any particular direction, and then once you're done with it, you can send it out in that same particular direction, and anyone caught in the move itself will get stunned and like pushed back. Now, the move doesn't actually do a whole lot of damage, but it does have the stun element of it as well. So anyway, here is the actual stone wall itself. You can see that I can move it depending on where I rotate my mouse cursor around my player. And the longer I hold it, the further it will be pushed outward. So, as I said before, anyone who gets hit by the actual stone wall will get shoved back and stunned for a couple of seconds. But point is that this move itself can not only block projectiles, but it can also be used in combos in order to continue keeping someone stunned, which I think is really, really good game design. Alright, next up we have a Sturdy Statue, which works exactly the same as Rock Armor in Elemental Battlegrounds. However, it does have the added effect of removing the slowness effect. So in this game, it basically literally just makes you take less damage. It reduces the damage you take by 30%. And you can see when I cast it, it just makes my body go rock. So I'm a rock now. There's a dummy head that's following me whenever I move, which is, yeah, I think that's a bug. Yeah, I think that's a bug. You know what? Let me hit my F9 screen. There might be like an error that's showing up here related to that. Nah, it's mainly just Great Fireball. I don't know. Jen can figure that out. But yeah, it doesn't... Point is that it does not like slow you down. It just makes you take less damage. So it's just Rock Armor but buffed. Because in Elemental Battlegrounds, it reduced the damage you took, but it also made you slower. Alright, and then finally we have the ult, Terraforming Rain. How it works is it gathers nearby enemies around you and puts them into a boulder, and there's a bunch of hands that show up and like deal a shit ton of damage. So, here's that for you. Pretty cool animation, if I do say so myself. The move itself doesn't actually do a whole lot of damage, but it also doesn't have like that much of a cooldown. And it has the added effect of being able to grab multiple people at the same time. Alright, next up we have Light. So Light has the second contact move in the game, which is called Photon Buster. Now, I think this is probably one of the best Light moves in the arsenal, but I'll show you all of them. First of all, let's start off with Divine Light Rays. So how this move works is you jump backwards and send out like a ray of blasts in any particular direction. And if you charge it up, you can send out additional rays up to 3 of them. As you can see, it sends out 3 of them, and actually one of them just clipped him. So, this move, it does take a while to charge, and while you're charging it, you can't actually move. But you can see for each of those like little blinks, you get an extra pathway that actually, or not pathway, but you know what I mean, like an extra ray of light, that goes in that direction. So you can use it just once to get one ray in any particular direction, or you can increase the range of the move by charging it. So yeah, to each their own for that. Next up, we have Photon Buster, which you perform a brief dash in any particular direction, depending on where you're facing. And if you don't hit anyone, it won't do anything. It will just send you in a particular direction. But if you do hit someone, it will grab them and then send them downwards in like a line going down into the floor. It works, I would say. This move is its closest comparison in to Elemental Battlegrounds is the Dragon Contact move, which sort of grabs them, hits them up, and then smacks them back down. And this move works exactly the same. As you can see, it like does a little zigzag, and then it like grabs them, hits them, and then sends them back down into the floor. So yeah, as you can see, it does that, and it sort of hits them at like an angle from upwards down into the ground. So this move, especially on this map, you can do quite a lot of things with it. For instance, if you're fighting someone like up here near the water, you can send them into the water, and if you do that, then it will like deal damage to that person, or like the water like drowns people. So if you send them into the water, you can just deal a ton of damage just based off of that. And next up, we have Seraphic Blitz, or Seraphic Blitz. This is a bit similar to Voltaic Dispersion in that you charge it up, and it increases the range of the move. And the more you charge it, the bigger the range, and it only appears around you itself. So if I just use the move, its range is smaller, but basically how it works is it like sends a bunch of like light rays around you, and then at the end of it, it punches in a very particular direction. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on hitboxes for this just to show you this. As you can see, there's two different hitboxes. There's the hitbox around the main move and the punch that goes in a particular direction. So this punch sends them slightly further back, and you can aim it in any particular direction. So as you can see, the punch is in this direction. So when you're using the move, you want to ideally aim it in the direction of the person in particular. So I'll just try it again. And as you can see, I landed it and it sent them in that direction. So this move generally is quite versatile. It's versatile in a lot of the same ways that Voltaic Dispersion is versatile. The hitbox for it and the range for it is like a lot bigger compared to Voltaic Dispersion when you charge it up. The dashes that appear do less damage, but the punch at the end like sort of makes up for it. And also, Voltaic Dispersion just kind of like jumps you in the air, stuns you, whereas Seraphic Blitz brings people to the middle. So it does work in like crowd control as like sort of a crowd control move, and it does have its places in combos which require you to bring one person closer to you. You can definitely pair Seraphic Blitz with a particular contact move like Bedrock Ambush. This move in general, I would say, is pretty good, and the range itself, when you've charged it up fully, in fact, I can't even see the hitbox. That's how big it is. Like, the hitbox is, like, going out of the camera, so I can't actually see how big the hitbox is when I charge up the move fully. Point is that it's a very, very big area of effect when you actually charge it up fully. Right, and then next up we have Lumen Force. So this move has essentially 3 different things that can happen with it. The first one is, if you land it directly on a person, it teleports you to that person and deals, like, a medium damage punch. As you can see. The second version of the move is when you don't hit someone. This move can actually bounce off of surfaces. It has like a nice ricochet effect, and depending on how close together the 2 walls are, you can make it bounce like at least like 2 or 3 times. So let me just show this for you now. Okay, that didn't really work, but you get what I mean. It could have bounced a 3rd time if I angled that correctly. So if you get like a ricochet effect, like correctly, no, I didn't do it. I have to get the angle right. But if you're like, if you get really, really good at using Lumen Force, you can actually like land it square on someone while having it like ricochet on that person. And actually, I just did it there. So you can see that like, if I hit that person square on the nose, with the Lumen Force, while I, like, throw a ricochet, you can still, like, land it correctly. And then the third version of the move is if you don't bounce it at all, you can actually just teleport to, like, the end of the Lumen Force itself. If you, like, click again, like, near to the end of its, lifespan. So this move, I would say, is definitely very versatile, and it's probably, in my opinion, one of the better light moves in the actual, like, arsenal here. Because there's just so much you can do with it. And if you get really, really good at using Lumen Force, you can, like, easily incorporate it in a bunch of different combos and whatnot. And also, it's just generally quite a good move because of its versatility. Now, finally, we have the light move, Iridescent Cataclysm, which brings... Again, it's very similar to Earth Alt, in which it occurs around you, and it brings anyone in close to you. You do like an infinite punch thing, and then you sort of send them up and blind them, basically. So I'll show you that for you now. When you use the light alt, you bring them in, and you do like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure type punch. And in fact, I think I actually did it wrong. Because there's supposed to be, like a spectacular light pillar that appears. But, I think I did that one wrong. Alright, so, my test subject is showing me light move, or the light alt itself. And there we go. That's the light pillar, and that did, like, over 600 damage. So... He was saying the move is kind of a bit bugged at the moment, where, like, sometimes it doesn't actually do, like, the light pillar at the end there. But the move itself, I believe in order to make it work, you have to land, like, those, like, last 3 punches that appear, like, towards the end of, like, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Muda, muda, muda. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's saying that, it launches the player too far within, and some people tend to miss their hits. If you don't get the last hit, you miss it entirely. So you need to land all 3 of the punches. Alright, let's try it again, then. There we go. Oh my god, what the fuck? I don't know why it sent me flying, but I did catch him correctly, so... regardless, you do need to have a little bit of tact when using this, this ult, otherwise it won't do anything. Alright, and finally we have Darkness, which I would consider to be probably one of the most overtuned elements in the game at the moment. And, yeah, there's definitely a lot you can do with it, and there's a lot of versatility, a lot of range on it as well, and if you use the moves correctly, you also do a ton of damage. But first off, we have Defiled Midnight, which is the AoE move. This is a move that you can place anywhere, and if you place it on a particular person, it sends like a spike that jumps up, jumps down, and then there's a whole bunch of tentacles that appear. Now, I'm going to turn off the hitboxes for this one just so you can see the tentacles again, but as you can see, it dealt like maybe a third of his health. So just to show you this, without the hitboxes, you can see all of the tentacles that appear. It's a little bit random, but this move is very, very good for crowd control, and it eliminates like quite a large area itself. So yeah, this move works in like restricting players' movements if you don't actually land the move itself, which is why it's probably one of my favorite dark moves, but it's definitely like, there are also like other very, very good ones as well. Next up we have Stygian Assault, which you fire 3 bursts of projectiles, and they have heat-seeking abilities. So they work a bit like Plasma in Elemental Battlegrounds, except they don't follow the cursor, they just kind of like go in a particular direction. Hi, Post-Editor Convex here. I think Quill Daggers, which is Angel's bullet move, is a much better comparison compared to Plasma. Not sure why I said Plasma in the original take of the video, but yeah. I think the best comparison for this is probably Quill Daggers. But if they, like, see a player within a certain radius of them, it will, like, hone in on that player. So just to show you, like, that's what I mean, is that I sent the bullets in that direction, but they honed in on Reaps the test dummy over here. So I'll just try it again, except I'll send them like a little bit further up. And as you can see, like, it's quite a small range. Like, some of them just kind of like missed and just went off into the stratosphere. But the ones that did sort of like curved over and hit him. And you can hold it to summon more bursts. So you can see there's like way more bullets that appear when I hold it. And even though I sent it quite far away, it still does 200 damage plus burn damage as well, which ended up doing 255 damage to him. The next move is the game's first healing move. And the first healing move in this game is a soul-sucking one, where it damages other players and heals you at the same time. So you send forth many dark tendrils in front of you and slowly steal the vitality of your enemies, then knock them away. So to show you this, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to suck him in, and then I send him away while also pushing myself back. So if I was damaged, this move would heal me while also damaging him at the same time. Granted, I'm not actually like damaged at all. Now this move is generally quite good because you can aim it in any particular direction. However, if you miss, it's very, very like easy to punish it. And I think someone just used the ult. So I'll show you guys that in a minute. But the move itself, like it's very easy to punish if you miss it, because the person is stuck in the same place for quite a while when they're actually using the move. And I can't actually move. But yeah, so this move is very good if you land it, but also like it's a bit like high risk, high reward, because if you don't land it, then the opponent can punish it with their own spells while you're stuck in place. Next up, we have Rapture. Now, Rapture, it works slightly similarly to Photon Buster, except it pulls people in rather taking you towards them. So the move starts by sort of sending out a beam, which grabs a person. Now, the range is actually a lot lower, so you have to be, like, generally, like, right next to the person in order to use the move correctly. So let me just stand right next to Reaps here. As you can see, it grabbed them, and then it pushed them away in a very similar way to Photon Buster. So it's kind of like a Photon Buster that does a bit more damage, but also it doesn't take you towards that person or take you in any particular direction. You just have to be, like, right next to them in order to use it correctly. As you can see, that's like a better showcase of the move. It like sent them in that particular direction. And then finally, we have the ult. Not that one. The Darkness ult. That's actually a better showcase of the light beam, just from far away there, so you can see what it looks like when you're like looking at it. But finally, we have the ult. So, Death Angel, this ult is actually very, very unique. Now, this is probably one of the first ults that I've seen that actually does something like this. But the way Death Angel works is it's like a glorified self-inflicting move, if that makes sense. Like, you know, like Flame Body or Imperial Wrath and Sturdy Statue. Both of them only affect you. Darkness ult only affects you. However, it gives you like a ton of buffs. So basically how the move works is when you cast it... thanks. When you cast it, it deals like a huge explosion around you. And you become darkness itself. And there's the big explosion. And that explosion does like a ton of damage to anyone. And you can see it actually just killed my test subject there. But in this like darkness state here, you take 20% extra damage. However, you gain 15% bonus attack damage, 15% lifesteal, 20% increased speed, and Void Step. Which, Void Step is, essentially like whenever you dash in any particular direction, it leaves like a little explosion behind you. Yeah, it's a way more mobile. So when you're in this state, you have just general like increased mobility, increased damage output. But the drawback is that you take 20% extra damage, and also the cooldown is like pretty big as well. But this is like, it's a move that mainly affects yourself and your damage output, but it also deals a huge explosion around you when you actually cast the move, which deals like over like 600 damage to anyone caught in said explosion. So yeah, that's pretty much every move in the game. The final thing that I want to showcase is the concept of mana bursting. Because it's not really a move, it's more of just a mechanic in this game that Elemental Battlegrounds doesn't have, so I might as well just showcase it here. But I believe the default keybind for this one is F. But correct me if I'm wrong, because I did change... No, actually, I didn't change the mana burst keybind. I think it's F, but it might be something else. It might be G. But basically, mana bursting works as like an anti-combo system, where if you get stunned or caught in a combo, you can hit F, which uses up some of your mana and basically gives you some iframes. Now, iframes are invulnerability frames, which basically just make it so you can't take any damage. And also, any stun that you're affected with disappears. And you can see the blue bar, in order to charge up said mana burst, is right above the HP bar. So right now I can't mana burst because the bar is still charging. But once the bar reaches full, I can then use it again, and if I'm caught in a combo or caught in a stun move, I can mana burst to get out of that. I'm just going to have my test subject use a stun move on me so that I can showcase mana burst, but as you can see, I mana bursted during his light AoE, and instead of keeping me stunned, it allowed me to get out of the light AoE safely. So this move works as basically just an anti-stun. However, you need to use it wisely, because if the opponent baits out your mana burst, then you won't be able to use it again for some time, which allows them to then later get you in a combo like that, and I couldn't mana burst out of that blaze column. In general, this ability is very, very nice in the actual game itself, because it allows you to get out of combos, which in EB, if you got caught in like an insta-kill combo, you were just dead. There was nothing you could do. So having this mechanic in the game as like a failsafe is nice, and I really, really like the idea of it. But it does have its drawbacks, being its long cooldown. So if you obviously get baited to use it, or you use it incorrectly, then the opponent can punish you with still said insta-kill combo. So yeah, that's about everything, honestly. There isn't really much else to go over. Those are all of the moves in the game, and plus the mana burst. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Use code CONVEX in the settings for 75 gems and 10 minutes of double XP. Hope you guys have learned something. And hopefully, like, if you're a new player as well, especially, and you don't know, like, all of the moves, now you should know, even before you have the move or the element, what, like, the move actually does and how it works. And more importantly, how to combat people who use it, in battle. So, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. Have a good day, night, or whatever, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.